Holy crap! The Simpsons called it again? Settle down, you magnificent bastards. It's your favorite channel, Streamscope Media here. We're diving deep today. Deep! The Simpsons. They're not just cartoon jesters, they're frickin' Nostradamuses in yellow skin. Or really lucky guessers. We're peeling back the layers. Moments where the Simpsons made us go, wait a minute, I've seen this before. From presidents to pandemics, these guys have been calling shots like a drunken Babe Ruth. Does Matt Groening have a secret crystal ball? Buckle up, buttercups. Grab your Duff beer, your Lard Lad donuts. Us here at Streamscope Media will be your guide through the 10 most mind-blowing Simpsons predictions. This ain't your grandma's conspiracy theory video. Well, actually, it might be. Grandmas are surprisingly into this stuff. Let's do this. Orange is the new bleak Trump in the Oval Office. No, seriously. Alright, let's kick this off with a big one. A real doozy. The Simpsons basically handed Donald J. Trump the keys to the White House, metaphorically speaking, way back in the year 2000, an entire 16 years before he actually became president. The episode was called Bart to the Future. Little did we know it was less what might be and more oh crap what will be. Lisa mentions, and I quote, inheriting quite a budget crunch from President Trump. Wistful thinking, before Apple, there was Springfield's smart tech. Okay, moving on from political prophecies to technological clairvoyance. Let's talk smartwatches. You know those fancy gizmos on your wrist that tell you the time, track your steps, and let your boss bother you even when you're on the toilet? Well, guess who had them first? Not Apple, not Samsung, not even Dick Tracy really, in this specific animated way. It was, you guessed it, The Simpsons, way back in 1990-5. The episode was Lisa's wedding, another one of their delightful peeks into the future. A future it turns out that was more accurate than your average weather forecast. In this episode, Lisa is all grown up and about to marry a charming, if somewhat stuffy, British fellow named Hugh Parkfield. And Hugh, bless his technologically advanced heart, is rocking a watch that does more than just tell him when it's tea time. He's talking into it. The mouse eats the fox, a corporate prophecy served cold. Let's shift gears to corporate Goliaths. The Simpsons predicted Disney buying 20th Century Fox nearly 2 decades before it happened. The episode, When You Dish Upon a Star, aired in 1998. A classic Simpsons visual gag showed 20th Century Fox as a division of Disney. At the time, it was just a clever poke at Disney's empire. Chapter 4, Gaga for guesswork, suspended animation at the Super Bowl. Let's get a little more flamboyant with this next one, folks. We're talking about the one and only Lady Gaga and her show-stopping Super Bowl halftime performance. But before she descended from the heavens in Houston, she did a very similar stunt in Springfield. That's right, the Simpsons had Gaga flying high years before the NFL did. The episode was Lisa Goes Gaga, which aired in 2012. And let me tell you, it was an episode. But buried within its Gaga-ness was a moment of pure, unadulterated prophecy. In the animated spectacle, Lady Gaga, playing herself because who else could, arrives in Springfield to cheer up a despondent Lisa. And how does a global superstar make an entrance in a cartoon town? By flying over the audience at a concert, suspended by wires, in an elaborate, typically Gaga-esque outfit, complete with pyrotechnics. It was over the top, it was dazzling, it was exactly what you'd expect from a cartoon version of a Lady Gaga performance. It was, a normal Tuesday for her probably, just animated. Now let's jump forward 5 years. February 2017, Super Bowl LI, the halftime show. Who's headlining? Lady Gaga. Chapter 5, Viral Marketing, Springfield's sick and scarily accurate sense of humor. Alright, let's take a slightly darker, more unsettling turn with this next one. We're venturing into the realm of global health crises. I'm talking about the Ebola virus. Now, the Simpsons didn't predict the entire outbreak with charts and graphs, but they dropped a reference so specific and so early, it's downright chilling. This comes from the episode Lisa's Sacks, which aired way back in 1997. 1997, folks. A time when the biggest global threat most of us were worried about was the Y2K bug, or maybe the Spice Girls breaking up. The scene is a flashback. Bart is sick, and Marge, ever the caring mother, is trying to comfort him. She suggests he read a book. And what literary gem does she offer her ailing son? A book titled Curious George and the Ebola Virus. Chapter 6, London Calling, a pointed prediction. Piercing the skyline. Let's hop across the pond for this next piece of architectural augury. We're going back to that same font of future knowledge, the 1995 episode, Lisa's Wedding. We already talked about the smartwatches from this episode, but it seems the Simpsons' crystal ball was working overtime that week, because they also gave us a glimpse of London's future skyline, complete with a very specific, very pointy skyscraper that didn't even exist yet. I'm talking about the Shard. You know, that giant glass spike that looks like it's trying to give the London sky a very expensive acupuncture session. In one of the establishing shots of future London and Lisa's wedding, as Lisa and her British beau are gallivanting about, we see a distinctive skyline. And right there, next to the iconic Tower Bridge, is a very tall, very slender, very pointy skyscraper. It doesn't look like any building that existed in London in 1995. It was clearly an artist's imagining of what a futuristic London skyscraper might look like. Sleek, modern, and, well, shard-like. It was just a background detail, something to make future London look, futuristic. Alright, let's dive back into the murky waters of politics, but this time with a technological twist. We're talking about faulty voting machines, a topic that seems to unfortunately resurface every election cycle like a bad rash. And guess who was sounding the alarm? Albeit in a typically Homer-esque way. The Simpsons, of course. This particular piece of electoral clairvoyance comes from the Treehouse of Horror 19th episode, which aired in 2008, right in the thick of the Obama-McCain presidential race. It was timely then, and depressingly, it's remained timely. The segment in question sees Homer Simpson, a man whose civic duty usually extends to finding the comfiest spot on the couch, actually attempting to vote. He steps into the booth, determined to cast his ballot for Barack Obama. But every time he presses the button for Obama, the machine, with a mind of its own or perhaps just really shoddy programming, registers a vote for John McCain. Homer tries again and again with increasing frustration, only for the machine to defiantly select McCain each time before eventually sucking Homer into its nefarious vote-stealing innards. Classic Treehouse of Horror absurdity, right? At the time, it was a hilarious, satirical take on anxieties about electronic voting. Okay, this next one is so specific, so wonderfully nerdy, it's almost unbelievable. We're not talking about a general trend or a broad societal shift. We're talking about The Simpsons predicting a specific winner of the Nobel Prize in Economics. Yes, you read that right. And the prophet, in this case, was none other than Springfield's resident lovable loser, Milhouse Van Houten. This gem comes from the 2010 episode Elementary School Musical, an episode title that frankly doesn't scream hotbed of economic prognostication. In one scene, Lisa, Martin Prince, Database, and Milhouse are gathered around, and they've got a betting pool going for the Nobel Prize winners. It's the kind of adorably dorky thing you'd expect from Springfield Elementary's brightest, and also Milhouse. As they show their betting slips, Milhouse proudly displays his pick for the Nobel Prize in Economics, a certain Bengt R. Holmstrom. Now, unless you're deeply entrenched in the world of contract theory and microeconomics, that name probably meant absolutely nothing to you in 2010. It probably means nothing to you now. It sounds like a character from an Ingmar Bergman film, or perhaps a particularly sturdy brand of Scandinavian shelving. Think about it. Alright, sports fans, or fans of watching powerful organizations crumble under the weight of their own corruption, this one's for you. We're talking about FIFA, the governing body of world soccer. The Simpsons predicted the massive FIFA corruption scandal a year before it happened. The episode aired in March 2014. Homer becomes a World Cup referee in Brazil. Shady officials try to bribe him to fix matches. The episode painted a picture of corruption. It was satire, but it felt pointed. The Simpsons essentially said, "Hey, you know that big soccer organization? Yeah, it's probably as bent as a 9-bob note." Fast forward to May 2015. For our final prediction, we head to Springfield's version of Las Vegas, and a tragic prediction. The Simpsons predicted the infamous Siegfried and Roy tiger attack a decade before it happened. In the 1993 episode Dollar Pringfield, Gunther and Ernst, a parody of Siegfried and Roy, are attacked by their white tiger. A shocking, darkly comedic moment that became a tragic reality. So there you have it, folks. 10 times. The Simpsons stared into their animated crystal ball and basically told us what was coming. From the Oval Office to the Super Bowl stage, from high-tech gadgets to high-stakes scandals, it's pretty undeniable that this yellow-skinned family and their equally jaundiced neighbors have a downright spooky knack for calling it. Is it magic? Are the writers secretly a coven of time-traveling soothsayers who communicate through fart jokes and donut references? Or, and hear me out, are they just incredibly smart, observant, and cynical writers who understand that history and human stupidity often repeats itself? Probably a bit of column A, a bit of column B. Honestly, the sheer volume of these predictions is staggering. We've only scratched the surface here today. For a show that's primarily about a dysfunctional family and their wacky town, they've managed to nail future events with a consistency that would make Nostradamus himself raise an eyebrow and say, DOH. It makes you wonder what current seemingly innocuous gags in recent Simpsons episodes will turn.